Hey, 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 Fit Mama. Jen Oliver here, your host of the Fit Mama podcast. This is the work in to your workout. Hey, Fit Mama. Welcome to today's episode that I was fortunate enough to record very recently, and I'm putting it live online for you. It's all about what is going on everywhere right now, COVID, the coronavirus. We are talking today with Lisa Dahle. She is a registered acupuncturist, and she's a practitioner and educator of East Asian medicine. She's a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. She helps people navigate through difficult times by using an approach that is aligned with nature and the body's own healing capacity. What she loves most is empowering people to understand their own innate healing capacity, which I love. Lisa, I have known her for a few years now. She is a friend of mine. She is a brilliant, wise woman. She is a fit mama. She has been around a long time, worked with tons and tons of clients, teaching them about building their immunity, keeping them healthy, preventing disease, and all things in between that. So today we get into tons of stuff. You're going to have to take notes, I got to tell you, or you're going to have to listen to this more than once. She gives ideas of foods we can eat, things we can add to our daily regimen. She talks about hot and cold, which one is better for avoiding the coronavirus, and what to do if you do feel like you might have it. She herself thought she had it and was in quarantine for 9 days before her test came back negative. So she talks all about her experience. She talks specifically about how to make sure that things that come into your house during this time are safe, how to make sure that you can keep yourself safe, clean, and not contracting the virus. She talks about wearing a mask. She talks about making your own hand sanitizer, which we know is out everywhere, it seems. She talks about different habits that you can do. I don't want to ruin it. I want you to listen. Let's not wait any longer. Here she is, Lisa Dahle. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, Fit Mamas, to this exciting episode. We have our guest, as you know, Lisa. Welcome.
Thank you, Jen.
Hi, how are you doing today, Lisa? You had a scare.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. I had to self-isolate myself for the last 9 days because I was concerned that I may have had the coronavirus.
Oh, man. You seriously thought you had it for the last 9 days?
Yes, well, I started to feel the symptoms that I kept hearing about, and I know that a lot of people are asymptomatic or have really mild symptoms. And because I come close to people every day when I'm treating, I really couldn't take any chances.
No kidding. So you haven't been treating anyone, you've been home?
That's right.
Oh, my. Okay, so traditional Chinese medicine, this is what you do. Tell us about that.
Sure. So traditional Chinese medicine is one of the first forms of medicine that was ever recorded. Over 5,000 years ago, they started to write and carve images down which describe the symptoms that people were having with their illnesses. So it has been researched and studied for a very long time, and it is totally based on nature. So it really incorporates everything around the mind, the body, and the spirit rather than separating everything out, which makes it
I love that.
different. Yeah, it's a little bit different than the way that we kind of see medicine in this day and age. Makes it very holistic. And it's interesting because right now, when we look at the coronavirus going around, I think about a week or 2 weeks ago when we were looking at how many cases were in China and how many deaths there were, we were all pretty shocked. And now, a few weeks later, we're looking at the results from China and Japan and Korea going, wow, what is it that they did to keep their mortality rate so low? So there are a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about them. And I'm sure everyone listening is like, oh my gosh, tell me anything I can do. I mean, I am messaging people going like, is there anything else I can do? Is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything you know about me I can do like to make sure we can help more people and prevent the spread of this disease, in addition to not getting it or obviously mitigating it if we do get it. So, I mean, I want to hear it all.
Cool. So obviously, there's a lot of information that we have here that they talk about, which is physical separation from other people, and obviously covering your mouth if you're sneezing, um, you know, good hand washing and sanitization, and all of these things that we already, that we already know about. But a few things that they are doing that is part of traditional Chinese medicine. And remember that in the hospitals in China, this medicine, it works together with Western modern medicine. So the doctors work side by side. So it's not like it's just one or the other. They're still using their respirators and all of the medications, but the Chinese doctors are there using Chinese herbs to treat these cases of pneumonia. So it's interesting to see some of the principles that come in hand here that we don't commonly think that much about in Western medicine. But one of the main principles in traditional Chinese medicine is the idea of hot and cold. And in the wintertime especially, it's really emphasized that we are taking in warm foods, cooked foods, foods with a higher temperature to keep our bodies warm. And part of that is that actually, if we're eating raw foods, it takes a lot of energy for our bodies to cook the food. So if the foods are already cooked and they're already warm, it takes a lot of the work away from our body to do that.
So true.
So that's something that is generally known in dietary theory. But in terms of the coronavirus, they have identified the initial stages of the coronavirus as what is called a wind cold invasion. So basically the cold penetrates into the body, and it creates this body aches, headaches, the sore dry throat. A lot of these are symptoms of this cold and dry pathogen. So a lot of the treatment that they're calling for is things like ginger, cinnamon, right? Foods that we know that are very warming in nature. Garlic is really good as well. So these are things that we can add into our foods and into our diet to keep our body warm and also to help with our immunity.
Excellent.
Also sunshine, right? Vitamin D and sunshine. Part of what we're doing, we're self-isolating, which we need to do, but it's also really important to get that vitamin D and sunshine. Vitamin D is also a very good immune supplement. So taking lots of vitamin C, lots of vitamin C, lots of zinc is really important as well. Now, something else that we tend to do here, which is right now, what they're saying is taking Advil or Ibuprofen, it can actually be negative on the impact of the coronavirus. So they're advising people to not take Advil right now, which we tend to take these things when we have a fever.
Okay.
Right? But the reality of the situation is that our body gets a fever because it's trying to fight off these viruses and bacteria. Bacteria, virus, mold, fungus, all of these pathogens, they hate heat, right? Our body knows that. So it produces a fever to try to fight these things. That's why we get a fever. So it's actually good and important to let that fever do its job to fight these pathogens in the body.
Great. That's so good to know. And I remember knowing that with my kids too, and like being kind of cautious to not medicate them before they're having a real fever. Because if they're just warm, it's like, okay, great, you're fighting something. That doesn't mean I have to douse you with anything, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you obviously have to be careful, especially with kids, that the fever doesn't get too high, especially for too
Yes. No,
long.
I agree with that.
And there's
Yes.
a lot of things you can do naturally to mitigate that as well, like putting, cold washcloth on their foreheads, or even a cold cloth just on their bodies to cool them off a little bit until they can break the fever. But the fever has a really important job in fighting these viruses.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, the other thing that I suggest to people really is, you're taking all these herbs, you're potentially trying to warm your body up, protect your immune system, get some sunshine. But the other piece that is really a concern right now is people are freaking out, right? They're really,
Mm.
really
Yeah.
stressed out. They're super, super anxious. They're watching,
Yeah.
the numbers rise
Right.
and wondering, what's next, what's going on. A lot of people have financial concerns. They're worried about their elder families. They're worried about their children. Like, it's really very scary. And
Very scary. It
yeah,
absolutely is.
it's terrifying. And the problem with fear and stress and anxiety is it actually lowers our immunity. So
Mm, I know
it is,
that. It's
yeah.
such a tough.
So it's really
Yeah.
counteractive to have these feelings. So this is a really good time. We're all at home hanging out with our families, and a lot of people are, pretty stressed. So it's a really good time to work on that self-care, trying to
Mhm.
work on a little bit of meditation, a little bit of gentle movement, right? Being kind to ourselves, doing breathing
Mhm.
exercises, listening to nice, quiet, soothing music. These are all
Mhm.
very nurturing things that can help our nervous systems really
Mhm.
settle down a little
Mhm.
bit.
Mm.
And
Yes, that is
yeah,
totally what we need because we're all in that fight and flight, right? Like, I mean, you go to the store, you see these pictures of there's no food left, and you just all of a sudden are hit with that panic of, wow, people are really extreme right now, and there's no saying what can happen, right? It's all of a sudden things are unpredictable. And that can really strike an intense level of fear. Like you just don't know how to react to it and you feel safe, but then you feel like petrified at the same time. So it's natural to be in that mode. So I love what you're saying about the nervous system, getting
yeah.
into that more sympathetic or parasympathetic, right? Out of the sympathetic, which is just doing overdrive right now, which is dulling our immunity, like you said. That's such a good point. Hey, 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 Fit Mama. Jen here for a quick interruption of this amazing episode with Lisa, just to give you some idea of what is going on in our Facebook group starting this week. On Wednesday, we have a 21-day challenge beginning. And right now, it's, I would say, pretty much challenging times. And I think we have a real opportunity for a little bit of reconnection with ourselves. And for me, I created the 21 Days to Love Your Body as an ebook and audios that I've decided to give you for free, along with my FitNut nutrition and recipes, my Fit Hit, which is a high intensity interval training for 8 weeks, and the 28-day Fit Blitz, all for free right now from the link that is going to be included in the show notes. This is an opportunity for you to get reconnected with your own personal at-home workouts. Like I said, for 21 days, I'm going to be helping, coaching, mentoring along in the Facebook group, not only so you can get going and continuing on your fitness with having some options to use, but also the 21-day program itself is really all about mindfulness, mindful awareness about what's going on with your habits, what emotions you're going through that's maybe influencing your habits, especially right now. Even if you've done the program before, this is a really great opportunity to either fill it in online or print it and fill it in as a journal for 21 days. The exercises in it only take a couple of minutes, 3 to 5 minutes a day, really, at the very minimum, and you can get a really lot out of it. So I coach you on a number of different things, and it's kind of a really fun program. Speaking for myself, I know, and I know so many fit mamas who have gotten so much out of it. So I just wanted to release it during this really tough time so that everyone had an opportunity to connect, not only to each other online in the group, but also back to ourselves, because nothing quite looks like it did a week or two ago, does it? I know not for us. So I'm sending you love. Get back to this episode with Lisa. Join in on our Facebook group and get the program or programs that are working or you want to try right now for you. I am here for you, Fit Mama. Much love. Talk soon.
And the other thing about the sympathetic nervous system, like you mentioned, that people are just sort of behaving kind of crazy. We're in survival mode. So, I mean, one piece of that is that we go into the sympathetic fight or flight, and we automatically, the survival mode is getting us to make decisions. And really, like, what happens in our brain is we go into tunnel vision. So we lose our perspective on anything that is beyond what is right in front of us in this moment. So it's really dangerous, right? It's same as Christmas time or other times of the year. It's a very similar thing. There's way more car accidents. There's a lot more outbreaks of like physical aggression, and all of these things happen because people are in this survival mode, and they're reacting instead of thinking things through, but also making short-term decisions instead of looking at the bigger picture, which right now we really need a little bit of perspective. We need to see what's around us. We need to help our neighbors and look at maybe someone actually needs those 4 rolls of toilet. Maybe you have enough for a couple of days, and maybe that can of food that you're fighting for, maybe that person actually needs it, right? Is to just try to take a breath and try to make a calm decision about things before, sort of going into this mode. It also eats up that cortisol and adrenaline in our systems.
Yes.
And that has a whole host of other side effects, right, in the long term that we just don't want to have to deal with, because that can cause long-term health problems as well.
Absolutely. I think what stands out to me in what you're saying, Lisa, is, right now things are different. I mean, that everybody can tell. Nobody's, living under the rock anymore. But really, people are still sort of going out and about, doing things nonchalantly until it hits them really close to home, I think. And I think it really is something that is an opportunity. Like you said, we can live in that survival mode where we're only just in shock or worried. But if we can move beyond that into action mode, with action being staying put, taking care of, like you said, the things that you can take care of, and then slowing down and calming down, like in the way that you said, right? And actually doing the practices that we know we've been wanting to do anyways, but we've been too busy and getting out of the house, right?
Exactly. So in Chinese medicine, there's the concept of yin and yang. I'm sure everyone has heard of that.
Yes.
So yin is like that male energy. It's the active energy. It's the doing. It's the acting. It's where, it's where our adrenals are firing. It's where we're producing. It's where we're, we function in society mostly in this yang phase. But in reality, we need some balance between the yin and yang. And the yin is stillness. It's calm. It's emotion. It's, thinking things through. It's having a plan. It's taking care. And so we've been forced, right? Whether we like it or not, we've been forced into a place where we are in yin phase. And that's really difficult for a lot of people if they've only been, functioning in one speed or one direction for a long time, to just embrace the stillness. Look at it as an opportunity to regroup, an opportunity to, see how maybe they could have more balance in their lives now,
Well,
but also,
I think I mean, not to cut you off, but what came to me is like, it's scary sometimes, right? People, we love to keep ourselves busy because then we don't have to face some of the things that are waiting for us in the stillness.
mhm, is really a pretty freaky thing.
Reality check.
Exactly. I know. When I was younger, I couldn't stop. I went all the time, all day, all night, all the things.
Me
It's what my
too.
parents did, right?
Mm.
It's what probably their parents did. It's been going on for generations. And I was a lot more extroverted when I was younger as well, which it turns out I really
Mhm.
wasn't, but
Forced yourself to be.
exactly. And it was just this acting, acting, acting.
How
And
depleting.
yeah, exactly. And we're all in this place. And I got to a point in my life where I hit my first burnout
Mm.
and realized that I had to learn mindfulness. I couldn't let my brain spin off and run my life because
Mm.
it was not making the right decisions for me. It seemed right in the moment, but the long-term effect of that was not positive.
Mm.
And so that's when I started to learn meditation and mindfulness. And like many people, I tried to do it and I was like, I can't do this. I can't
I
shut my
know.
brain off.
Yep.
Instead of, I eventually realized or learned, for me, how I learned mindfulness was actually through movement.
Mm.
And I think a
Yes.
lot of people who have very active lifestyles, when they're used to being very busy, they actually get a zen. Like I think you run, right, Jen? I'm sure you go into a
Yep.
zen place when you're
Oh, for
running.
sure. Oh, when I'm running, playing ping pong, tennis, shooting hoops, like there's so many mindful times.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're pretty zen, but a lot of people, I think they go into that place and they don't even realize that's what it is. So the idea of being
Mm.
mindful or meditating actually freaks them out. And they just think
Mhm.
about, Buddha sitting on the mountain and that they have to get from where they are right now to there in one step. It's like I'm here today and I'm there tomorrow. It's like the number of people who go into these, 1 month meditation retreats without ever having done meditation before. That's that's,
Mhm. Yes.
that's like torture. It's a process.
Yeah, it's intense. So when we talk about mindfulness, and I love that we're talking about this, to be honest, because I truly believe this is absolutely the number one antidote for what's going on right now is just slowing down and being more aware. Because like you said, when we make these decisions to buy 10 rolls of toilet paper in that moment, thinking it's our last effort, we're going to go to the store, it really is unnecessary. And it takes us out of our body in some way and definitely out of our mind, really.
That's right. We can't think creatively,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually what is always going to get us out, right?
That's
We may get
survival, not number one.
exactly. We may get out of a situation by thinking fast, right? That's survival, but we're
Yeah.
going to thrive by
Mm,
thinking creatively, right? We're
mm,
going to build a
mm,
future for
mm,
ourselves by being calm and relaxed, by dreaming about the future, right? By
mm,
imagining the possibilities.
mm.
And that is really the opposite of what is going to get me.
Friction of fear.
Yeah,
Yes. I
exactly.
love that you talk about the daydreaming of the future. And I think a lot of us have been doing that. And I've started to already even sort of talk to others who are feeling this way, that my husband and I have sort of been talking about everything, which is sort of, wow, what a opportunity this is for people to look directly at everything, right? Their habits, their spending of time, energy, resources, all the things, right? All planes grounded, all countries, protecting and going into survival and the mode to protect their own. It's really an opportunity for us all to come together, just like our families, and reconnect, right?
Exactly. This is a huge awakening for the
Mm,
whole
mm,
world.
mm,
And my hope is that everyone pauses for a minute
mm,
and looks at, their life 2 weeks ago and their life moving forward, and that everyone can make maybe some small and maybe some big choices
mhm,
that moving forward will help us never get to where we were again, despite
Mhm.
pandemics or anything else. But when we look at the impact of the environment, I mean, the world, Mother Earth is coming back to life just in a few weeks.
Isn't it miraculous? China
Right?
shutting down so many places and air quality, different things happening, changing so much around the globe.
There's so many positive things that are coming out of this, and it's because we've stopped, right? It's because
Mhm.
unnecessary things that have become that we think are necessary or that have just become a regular habits that
Mhm.
we didn't really want ever to give up our
Mhm.
conveniences.
Mhm.
Now that we have, it's a great moment to develop new positive ways of moving forward. I hope.
Totally. We realize we can do without this daily Starbucks run or the, stop off here or there, grab this, grab that, do this, and watch our bank account deplete month after month and not realize even where it went.
Yeah, and that's totally off topic of traditional Chinese medicine, but I think a lot of people, what they're going to notice, they may be impacted financially by work or maybe not, but certainly people's spending have gone down exponentially.
I think it's so paralleled in our health habits, those spending habits, our
Mhm.
exercise habits. I
Mhm.
feel like they're so interconnected.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think our
When you
ten-
talk about holistic, you're talking about this from a holistic perspective, and I do truly believe our financial health is completely connected to our health.
for sure. I mean, it's a lot of it is mindset when we're living in a place of lack, whether
Mhm.
that's physically in our minds, in our bodies, in our finances, any of those areas, it's always going to show up in other places.
So
And
true.
people who are content in a balanced place, who have enough, tend to consume way less. They tend to
Yeah.
eat less, they tend to drink less, they tend to have to buy less, do less, and just live a much simpler existence.
Totally. It's really just even your voice feels calming, and it really is the calm that we all need right now, is knowing that it's going to be okay, and it's not going to be okay because of our survival fight and flight. It's going to be okay because it's going to be okay.
Exactly. That is exactly right. It is going to be okay because this is what is. And
Mhm.
the only difference between it being okay and it not being okay is our mind, right?
Mhm.
It's our thought process. And
Mm.
ultimately, it will. Everything will go on. And
So true. So
yes,
true. And I think it's good to have that as sort of the foundational template. And then from there we go, okay, now what can I do? Or what do I do? Because I'm used to doing, right? Like you said, you're used to doing. So what can I do? I love what you talked specifically about with the heat. So if we feel a heat or a fever coming on us, allow that for ourselves. Maybe is this a time for saunas, hot showers, hot tubs? What would you say?
exactly. So saunas are amazing, right?
Yes.
Get out and sweat it out. Go out in the sunshine, get some vitamin D, get as much of your skin exposed as possible. Showers are
Okay.
good as well to warm you up. Baths aren't as good if you're feeling a little bit fluish or coldish because the
Okay.
water creates more dampness.
Ah, right.
And
Okay.
so
Okay.
that is something that you can end up getting more cold from that dampness afterwards. So
Mm,
it's not as good
got it. Got it.
as the dry heat or the moist heat from a sauna or the natural sunlight.
Okay. That's so good. Okay. So being out in the sun, well, I'm loving it. I'm seeing so many people posting online about how they're out for walks, runs, bikes with the kids, hikes, snow, skiing, all the things right now, which is such a beautiful thing that this is actually bringing out. So I know being outside and getting fresh air itself, even if it's not sunny, right? Probably, I mean, there's the dampness of the rain, but snow would be okay in that case, I guess, right? Or
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's more soaking your body in it that is
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, when it's raining, people who have a tendency for dampness, anyways, in their bodies, these are the kind of people that get aches and pains in weather
Mm,
changes, and usually have digestive issues as well. Won't feel as good in the dampness,
mm-hmm.
but it's still, the fresh air is always. I mean, that's always going to be the king.
Mm,
It's
mm,
helpful, and we're so lucky. I mean, here in Toronto anyways, we've just had such fantastic weather really
mm.
for March.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Great.
we're
Great to
lucky.
hear.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something that you have mentioned to me before, and I want to get it right from you so all the fit mamas can hear it. Tell me about looking at our tongue.
Yes, the tongue.
Mhm.
So the tongue will show you a lot of information about your internal health. Going into a lot of detail as a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, you can get a huge amount of information, but really what is important in this case, like when we have a virus going around,
Mhm.
is to notice sudden changes in the tongue.
Okay.
So if you're concerned about the virus and you want to kind of keep your eye on things, a really good thing to do is to make a daily habit and even potentially take a photograph of your tongue every day. So
Mm.
we had a little, with my students, we had a little exercise last week where everyone posted a photograph of their tongue. And then they were like, what's my diagnosis? It doesn't really matter the first time you take the photograph of it, what it looks like.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if it's pale, it means you have a little bit more cold in your body. If it's red, it means you have more heat in your body. If you have a lot of fur on your tongue, that's usually a sign of internal dampness. But ultimately, what we're looking for is that sudden change in the tongue. So if you are coming down with something, for example, the wind cold pathogen, like coronavirus, your tongue will probably get quite pale and have a very thick, dry coating on it. So that's something
Mm.
you want to watch out for, because then you can you can really up your game in terms of, if you get that paleness, you want to really get on that ginger tea and the cinnamon and all those really warming foods, to hot peppers and spicy things, to really try and warm up your system, get in the sauna, get out in the sun, all the things that we talked about. But monitoring in that, you can monitor your kids' tongues, you can monitor, everyone's during this time, and it'll just give you that bit of information about what is coming, or already starting as well. If the tongue were to turn really, really red, then there's internal heat
Mm.
that has come on. So then you would do more cooling things, like you mentioned earlier about viruses potentially like in cold. There are some viruses that come on with heat. And so you'll see that
Mm.
redness showing up. And then you're going to, and then you don't want to add more heat to it. So but that's just something that everyone can monitor on their own. That is kind of a little bit of self-diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's handy. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love that because it's so neat how you have all these little, what I would consider tricks at looking at people to be able to diagnose certain things. And I know I became interested in traditional Chinese medicine, after talking to you a lot specifically about it. And it's so interesting because there's so many different things that I feel like is not general knowledge and yet so informative, and these little things that we could do ourselves without having to call the doctor and go for a visit.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Every day, it just blows my
Mm.
mind, because I work with a lot of massage therapists and body workers, teaching them some of the main principles, and I
Mm.
will say to them, "Well, when you touch the skin, does it feel hot or does it feel cold?"
Mm.
And that is like, what,
Mm.
really?
Mm.
They're sort of taught early on to check temperature, but then it never, it doesn't really become such an important thing. But actually, it's so important to understand.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, is this
Right.
inflammation, or is it pain coming from something that's more chronic? It's going
Mhm.
to totally change how you treat something.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Absolutely. And this is something that we could feel on our own, like if we're feeling our own skin to see if it's warm, or what do you mean?
For sure. Just as an example, like right now my hands are cold, but if I wanted to, for example, a lot of people have low back pain.
Yeah.
So many people, right?
Hey, 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 Fit Mama. I just want to interrupt this episode with Lisa to quickly tell you about something that she is creating to help you. Have you ever considered taking a mindfulness and meditation course, but the whole idea of sitting on a mountain in silence is so terrifying to you that you can't even take the first step? I totally know what you mean because I have been there myself for sure. Mindfulness and meditation, just like any skill that you learn, is a step by step process that takes time and practice. Not everyone gets to their happy place the same way. Some people do it through movement, as Lisa mentions. Others need guided meditations, and some just want to sit on their own, while others need their body to relax in the process. In this introduction to mindfulness and meditation course that Lisa has created, she's going to take you through several different mindfulness techniques so you can choose the one or ones that work best for you. Most of the trainings in her course are audio files, which will be accompanied by written instructions for you to begin your mindfulness practice. There will also be physical movement exercises that will help you open up your energy channels, simple activities you can do to quickly reduce anxiety and become more grounded, and so much more. This course is launching very soon. The link is in the show notes. Do not miss this opportunity to work directly with Lisa and learn more mindfulness and meditation for your life. Back to the episode with Lisa.
So one way you can tell, like if a lot of people say, well, should I put ice on it or should I put heat on it? So what you want to do is actually you can just take the back side of your hand, so not the palm, but the other side of your hand. And you
Okay.
just put the back side of your hand on, say, the middle of your back,
Okay.
right? Feel the temperature. And then you just move it down to the area where it's sore, to the low part of your back, right? Or to your loins, sort of the sides of your low back, and just feel
Okay.
it. And you can feel it. Is it hot or is it cold? If it's cold, then you definitely want to apply heat, right? Get a heating pad on it or a hot water bottle, even a warm blanket. You can warm up in a bean pillow in a microwave, right? Warm it up and get some heat on it. And usually that heat will give you a lot of relief. If there's a lot of heat there, then that means there's inflammation, right? So you can feel that hotness, and then maybe you want to alternate hot and cold for a little bit until that heat goes down a little bit. But that's a great way to tell whether there's inflammation or not, because usually acute inflammation has a lot of heat that goes along with it.
Okay. Wow. Great. That is handy. Okay. Good info. Wow. Really good. Well, we have covered a lot already. I mean, we talked about preventing it by boosting our immunity. Obviously, prevention has to do with what you mentioned at the beginning. It was being away from the public, right? Not going out into public places. I'd love to touch on a little bit of the specifics around that, if you will. And, you've been in self-isolation thinking that you may have had it. So you really are a great person to ask in this situation. Like, people are wondering, okay, what if I order food? What if I go to the grocery store? Like, obviously I'm not taking my family with me, or I'm not going to visit my grandma at the old age home, or this or that. People have all these different logistics, but obviously we're talking about hand washing, minimizing our exposure outside, self-isolating and staying home and using FaceTime or Zoom with our families and friends, etc. if we can. What else? Like, what are we worried about with something we pick up at the grocery store if we get something delivered?
Yes, great question. Um, well, what I've been doing, so just a little bit of information. I mean, my partner just got out of the hospital. He just had surgery, having a cancer tumor removed. So, me going into self-isolation has a lot to do with that, because we needed to make sure that I did not give him any germs, even a cold. Be really bad. So,
Yeah.
I have been absolutely fastidious about um, my cleaning habits at home.
Yeah.
And So what I have done, I can tell you, is I have about 4 spray bottles. I have one in the kitchen, one in the bathroom. I have one by the front door, and then I just kind of have one that is a traveling spray bottle. And you can mix up a solution with. If it's a spray, you can use straight up 70% rubbing alcohol, or you can use 3% hydrogen peroxide, or you can do food grade hydrogen peroxide, which is actually made with distilled water, so it's a little more pure, and it may be a higher grade, and you dilute it down to 3%. Hydrogen peroxide kills everything. So if you spray a surface, what you want to do is you want to make it wet, and you want to leave it to air dry. So it takes 10 to 20 minutes for that surface to dry, and that peroxide is on there killing everything. And so even my hand wipes, I actually soak them with peroxide as well. So I'm a big fan of hydrogen peroxide. It's also totally non-toxic. You can use bleach as well at like a 50-to-1 concentration. But for me, I love anything that is environmentally friendly and good for the earth.
Me too.
Masking as well, even around
that. Tell us about that. Is that something you order online, a mask? You've talked about that before, and I really appreciate that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I heard in the last few weeks a lot of health officials saying that you should only wear a mask if you are trying to avoid infecting others. But that's not true. And actually now the World Health Organization has rescinded that statement because first of all, they've realized that that's what Asia does. Right. Asian people, as soon as cold and flu season comes around, they're wearing masks all the time.
For sure.
And so it's not just because you have a cold and that you don't want to pass it on, but it also helps prevent the cold because the cold and the crazy thing about coronavirus is it can enter through your nose, it can enter through your mouth, it can enter through your eyes. So actually, if you're wanting to be super cautious, you can wear sunglasses or glasses as well and cover your eyes. But certainly going out in public wearing a mask, it is not culturally particularly common here. And I know that people sometimes
think you're crazy or you're gone wild.
Yeah, they give you a bit of a look, and then they end up giving you lots of bandwidth to go past you because they kind of assume that you have some kind of pestilence when you're, if you're not Asian and you're wearing a mask. It's like, oh my God. But I'm okay with that right now. I'll take my space.
Me too. I'm thinking I need to definitely get on this.
Exactly.
I'm not going outside much at all. I'm really not leaving my house. I haven't in days, and don't plan to, but I want to get the mask because I might need to go get groceries at some point.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that, a lot of places are sold out of masks, and the hospitals and physical therapy clinics and that kind of thing are really actually having a hard time getting your hands on. You can make them too.
Yes, I've heard that's scary. Yes. Okay.
Yep. You can make them. You can, anything.
Tell us about that. That sounds great.
Even tying a bandana, honestly, you may look like a bandit from the wild.
I'm okay with that.
But if you're able to sew, right, you can sew them. There's lots of patterns available on Pinterest and online. It's not, it's really not that hard to find a pattern to sew your own mask. And if you're just wearing it once and you're washing it, you're cleaning it, then you're good to go.
Great.
But it's
thank you.
Yeah. But it certainly does help prevent the spread. Now, my partner, he has been out and about a little bit because he's been back to work. He has a mail-order business, and he wears gloves. He wears his gloves everywhere he goes. He has a pair of gloves every day. He washes them and he puts them back on. So it's just preventing him from picking up any bacteria. Any package that comes in the door gets soaked. I spray it.
Okay.
Everything, all the groceries. You go to the grocery store, you pick up an apple. Who else has picked up that apple?
I know. That's what scares me. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yep. So having, if you have disposable gloves and you wear them to the store, that's
Yeah,
fine, right? It's
great.
totally
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Use a bag. If you don't have gloves, use one of the produce bags to pick up your fruits with. Or
Oh,
get your
good
produce bag,
idea.
turn it
Good
inside
idea.
out, right, into a
Yes, I've done
glove, and
that.
then you put your
Done
fruit
that. Yeah.
inside.
Great
Yeah.
idea. Great idea. Well, you know what? I mean, I actually randomly bought gloves because every time I juice or do stuff with turmeric, the root, it
Oh,
dyes me
yeah.
and everything I'll use. And
Yep.
so I just got into the habit of wearing these gloves and I actually have a whole stack. So that's really handy. So thank
Oh,
you for
that's
that.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
turmeric is great too, by the way.
I
I
know. You're
just
right.
mentioned turmeric. It's
Yes.
so good for your blood and your immunity. It's a really good thing to be stocking up on right now.
Yes, and making the spray bottles, good ones.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're spraying stuff down. Yeah. I mean, just not ordering things as often. Like really, just being careful. Really,
Mhm.
why do you have to eat out? Hopefully, you have things that you could just make out of your cupboard. I mean, that's the thing. Honestly, again, another opportunity. We probably have so much stuff still leftovers in our cupboards from Christmas that probably needs to
Exactly.
be finished up. Right?
Exactly. Yep. If I can take one step back, Jen, about
Yes.
the spray,
Yes.
you can also make homemade hand sanitizer. I keep hearing that
Oh,
hand sanitizer anywhere.
yes. I've heard that.
Yeah, so you can do the same thing. You can take 70 to 99% alcohol and do 3 parts alcohol, 1 part aloe vera gel. And
Okay.
that adds a little bit of moisture for your skin, or the
Mm,
3% hydrogen peroxide, and you just add 1 part aloe vera gel. And then if you want to add essential oils to make it smell nice, there's
mm,
lots of antibacterial, antimicrobial essential oils as well that you can use on it.
mm. That is so good. That is so good. Thank you. These are really, really, really good tools, tips, talks about all the things here, Lisa. I'm just feeling with you. You have given us so much information in a really, really short time, actually. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I wondering if you have anything else that you're thinking of that we haven't touched on, because I just want to get this out so that we can listen and all get these things going. Because making our own hand sanitizer, calming ourselves and our nervous systems, making sure we're not passing it on and or picking it up anywhere by staying home and taking care. I mean, you've given us prevention, you've given us immunity, you've given us great tools. I love the mindfulness. That's such a gift. What else do you have, Lisa, that you want to leave us with today?
We have certainly covered a lot, but I see one more little thing on my list here
Yeah.
that I missed that is can be really helpful is diffusing.
Tell me. I love diffusing. I'm all over that. What is it?
Yeah. So because this virus doesn't like the moisture. So what they're
Mm-hmm.
saying is that you can diffuse, or if you have a humidifier, that
Mm-hmm.
you can keep your house humid or diffuse regularly. And again, those essential oils that are antimicrobial, antibacterial, lavender, tea tree oil, eucalyptus, even citruses, they're very, very good for killing germs and bacteria. No, I'm not an MLM person, but you have to be careful if you have pets. That's the only thing.
Okay.
Tea tree, and eucalyptus can be toxic for your fur babies, so you have to be careful. But also, they say sipping water regularly through the day to keep your throat and
Mm-hmm.
your mouth moist. Is
Mm-hmm. I have heard that too. Thank you. These are really, really, really great tips. Wow. And I mean, we all probably have one or two, maybe, diffusers that we go, oh yeah, I have to put that. Oh yeah, I have to fill that. Oh yeah. And then we walk by and walk by, right? So
Mhm.
hopefully we do fill that a little bit more right now and use those essential oils that we have. Thank you.
Now's the time.
Yes. Now is the time. Life is now, right? If we wait with anything, what the heck? What's the point?
That's right.
Now, 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 now.
We have the perfect opportunity to develop new habits.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. We do. Thank you. Well said. Thank you for all your time. Right now you're feeling good after you got a negative result from your coronavirus test. So I know you're taking good care so that you don't have another scare. And thank you for sharing all the wealth of wisdom that you have learned and that you have learned all over your life, learning all the things that you do. I know if anybody is going to check you out, the links are all in the show notes, that they're going to want to know what you're up to, what's going on, and all your background, because you have so much wisdom for us. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Jen.
Have a great day, Fit Mama. Namaste. Wow, wow, wow. What a jam-packed episode. I know that you must have gotten many things out of this one, as I did. Amazing advice, great ideas, solid science behind what she's talking about. Lisa knows her stuff. I'm so grateful to have had her on. Lisa, thank you for your time. Fit Mama, thank you for being here. If you know someone who is also needing this advice right now, needing some help right now, i.e. everyone that you know, please forward this on to them. They can listen to it. They can stay safe. We can help stop the spread of the coronavirus right now and ongoing. Thank you for being here. Take care, Fit Mama. Please reach out if you need anything, any support, any help, anytime. I'm here for you. And so is Lisa. Thank you. Namaste.